All right. So today we're going to pick up on the deployment of an agent on Projectoolbox. And I'm going to kind of run you through how that works. I'm going to go all the way back for those who probably were not in on the previous video. Let's go back to step 1, and then we'll go all the way through to how we deploy the agent. So just very quickly, when you get to Projectoolbox, you would set up your project. I'm just creating a fun project. This is a family trip to Lagos. I haven't put a client organization in. This is just the description. It's a trip for 5 people. And I just need some level of, structure in terms of governance and just how we manage it. We structure the project. So of course, I would also do the same thing for more complicated projects. But for now, let's just work with this very straightforward, simple project. The budget here is 250,000. It's a huge budget there. Let's put something in for 10,000. When do we want to? Is that we want to start the project somewhere week of the 11th of May, and maybe travel and return back by Sunday the 24th. We put it at medium for now. Let's move forward. We'll put it at traditional project management style. Again, you don't need to know all of these. When we release the initial version, we'll have just the traditional, but over time, we will roll out the Scrum, Kanban, Waterfall, and so on. When it comes to phase gates in your projects, pre-project, initiation, planning, execution, closing, these are all phase gates. I would leave most things as they are, but just for the sake of demonstration, I would tick some of these ones there, just to make sure that you sort of have them. Now, of course, if you don't need them, you take them out. If you're just trying to plan a trip to, for a holiday, etc., you might not need artifacts. That might be too formal for a family trip. But we'll tick some of this just because we're demonstrating how Projectoolbox manages projects. And of course, let's move forward. In terms of team members, again, you can add and remove stakeholders here. You could put your partner if it was a standard project, etc. For now, would leave that blank. Again, you can have your level of autonomy. So if you want an agent that supports you in projects, that is simply an advisor. So you'd tick the L1 button, but for this, we're going to go with L2, which is sort of a bit of both. It's a co-pilot sort of arrangement. And of course, if you wanted an autonomous agent, that would be level 3. Now we've broken it down into these 3 categories so that it's kind of clear where each sort of autonomy level sits. And of course, depending on what title or what name you want to call the agent, you could click suggestions here. We could call it any of these things. Let's keep Griffin. I can't remember the one we did in the other exercise. But of course, anything you put in here would determine the sort of context it provides. Would leave the formality at the middle, somewhere where it's between formal and friendly and where it's between concise and detailed. And of course, on that basis, we'll then click next to the last page where we've summarized everything. Now for this video, I'm going to show you post deployment so you can see what happens when you deploy the project. But for this, it looks all fine. It looks like 759 credits per month. If you are autonomously running the project, you might not need that much if you're not running for a month. So click deploy for Project Griffin, or for Griffin, the agent, to deploy and start running the projects. And there we go. So Griffin is live. Typically, you'd get an email as well that would go into your inbox to confirm that or your agent Griffin has been set up. Now, of course, what we've done here is that we've given or provided Griffin with a very clear instruction in terms of what it should do. And as you can see here, Agent Griffin is set up for family trip to Lagos. That's the project. It's a traditional project. So typically, if you're used to project management, you'll be familiar with the typical PMI style type of project management. We've sometimes we refer to it as traditional. It's level 3, which is autonomous. Oops, I think I put it as autonomous. So a lot of the work will be done by the agent and very little will be done by you. Tend to put it somewhere in the middle, but that's fine. What you can see here is the email address for the agent. So if I went to this email address, I'm going to go to another screen, which you can't see, but I'm going to send an email to Agent Griffin. And just to give you context in terms of how it works is I will, in many cases, if I send the email to Agent Griffin, what would happen is it will, of course, receive the email and it will put it into context. So assuming I said to Agent Griffin, budget, title is budget reduction. You can't see what I'm typing, but let's say budget has now been reduced to £9,500. And I sent it to Agent Griffin. What will then happen on that basis will be Agent Griffin will then receive that email. But the idea here is just this is the dashboard for the agent and the work that the agent is undertaking as an autonomous AI agent for me. This is its email address, like I've pointed out. Just a little bit of introduction here. I'll do other things in other videos, but for this video is more about just once we've deployed the agent, what happens. It's currently working on researching, so we know what it's doing. There's a sort of banner here which gives you an idea of what the agent is currently or actively doing at the moment. And here it says obviously it's writing the pre-project phase documentation. Technically, as part of doing that, it needs to do some research. So even if I went to view artifacts here, I would imagine that it would not have any artifacts just yet, as I thought. So no documents generated yet, typically because as with any project, if you started a project, the first thing before you would write any artifacts, you would have to do some research. So of course, Agent Griffin will be carrying out some research. Just to point out though, it's mentioned here, email received, budget reduction from my email address, one of my email addresses, tweezy@gmail.com. You can see that it has received some email and it has that information within its database. But again, going back to Agent Griffin, let's look at a fleet overview. We have our agent here. Let's just click on it. Again, just going back to what it does. If I go to inbox, you would see that Agent Griffin has received that email. I just said, pretty much budget has now reduced to 9,500 there. Of course, Agent Griffin can attend meetings. If we set up a meeting here, if I clicked on create meeting, it will then be invited, or it can create a meeting and invite attendees to that meeting. I wouldn't do that on this video. I just want to keep this video short and simple, just to give you understanding. What does Agent Griffin know? It has knowledge. Again, you can also see the knowledge aspects of the agent when you go to knowledge base on the left here. But Agent Griffin, of course, will build up knowledge, which you can also, if your company has, or if we had a policy in terms of travel, etc., you could also click on upload and you could upload that information and it would absorb it into its knowledge base. If there was audio as well, that would also be absorbed. If there were documents, notes, if again, there were regulatory expectations, requirements, or if you simply just wanted to type something in here, you could just type it in and it would absorb it. So the idea is that the AI agent currently is in the state where it's sort of putting together what would potentially be the artifacts, trying to research and carry out some work. The way you would work with the agent, and we'll do that in another video, but again, it will be with the chat. So now I'll just click on it just to show you what's there. It says there's a new email and there's budget reduction, etc. And it then has pretty much reduce agent, etc. Reply to confirm that you are, reply confirm to apply, to apply all of these to the project, or reject to discard. The idea here is that the agent will not just take any email that comes to it as a confirmation that something has progressed or that the budget has been reduced. So it goes through a vetting process, which is where it would need you as the PM to now engage with it. So you need to say confirm, otherwise it will not take it as, the source of the truth. So in this case, we would say confirm. And if I click to confirm, you could see that the agent will then now take this and infuse into its database as part of its knowledge. And that is just how it works. Now, there are other things we would go through here. Obviously, it's introducing itself. It says, hello, I'm Agent Griffin, your AI project manager for the Lagos family trip project. I see you've confirmed the budget reduction to 9,500. As your project manager, I want to ensure we maintain project control with this change. Immediate impact, blah, 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 10,000 verified. New budget has been verified. Risk identified. There's a mismatch between USD versus GBP. Creates uncertainty. So it's definitely pointing out something that we need to look at there. This budget change requires action to assess impact on flight costs, etc. So it's now saying that obviously when I set up the project, I put the $sign, and now I have come back in the email and I've said it's the £sign. So it's now saying there's a mismatch there and there's an issue or a risk there that it might be uncertainty in the budget. I would say that's an issue. So maybe something is pointed out there, but well, that's a risk in the sense that it's looking at it potentially becoming a problem later on. Of course, it tells us the source, which it says the original budget was from the project database when we set up the project. New budget figure comes from the email address, and then of course the trip details it has as well. Now we'll go into other things, how the project will then be set up, but you can see already AI supporting the process of delivering this project family trip to Lagos with Agent Griffin. But yeah, just keep an eye on this channel. You'd sort of see the use of this tool in supporting organizations and individuals in managing your projects and just keeping things as structured as possible as we progress. So hopefully this has been useful. If you wanted to check a little bit more, look a little bit more around the things we've done prior in terms of building or deploying the agent, you can look at the previous video that we've posted. But we'll catch you up on the next video. Thanks for watching.